After recognizing the signs and possibly a scene of foreboding concerning the aircraft's engine troubles, 4 passengers decided not to board the aircraft. For them, their decision was to be a blessing in disguise. On Thursday, January 21st, 1960, Avianca Flight 671, a Lockheed Super Constellation, took off from New York-Idlewild Airport, now known as JFK, for a flight to Bogotá by way of Montego Bay and Barranquilla, Colombia. On board there were 46 souls, 39 passengers and 7 crew members. While en route to Montego Bay, the number 3 engine malfunctioned and was shut down, and because of that issue, Flight 671 diverted to Miami, arriving there about 4:30 p.m. Passengers were told that there would be a delay for repairs, and at 8 p.m. the plane was boarded again and Flight 671 taxied to the end of the runway for takeoff. But then there was still some mechanical trouble, and therefore they had to return to the airport terminal. This was rectified and the flight departed Miami at 12 minutes after midnight, the co-pilot being the pilot flying. Let me know, would you have stayed on that flight? Click the like button if you would have preferred to wait for the next flight. Upon arrival near Montego Bay, clearance was given for a standard instrument approach. A standard instrument approach allows pilots to align their aircraft with the runway and fly towards it without being able to see anything outside their windows. This enables them to fly into airports even if they are obscured by clouds or fog, as long as the pilots can make visual contact with the runway environment before reaching what is known as their decision altitude height or minimum descent altitude height. If visual contact has not been acquired at that point, they must either initiate a missed approach procedure, otherwise known as a MAP, or go back for another attempt. The airfield was sighted following the procedure turn at 2,000 feet, and the approach was continued visually as they were now able to see the runway. The pilots did the standard landing procedure, but after a heavy touchdown, the plane bounced, landed back on the runway, and skidded down the runway in flames, coming to rest inverted 1,900 feet from the runway threshold and 200 feet to the left. The Super Constellation burned for almost 2 hours, while the airport fire brigade and the Montego Fire Brigade fought the blaze, after which police and the civil aviation officials combed the wreckage where the gruesome sight of charred remains of human bodies, some seemingly trying to escape, but most still strapped in their seats with hands covering their faces, told a story of desperate attempts to fend off the flames, while others were thrown from the aircraft and into the swamp waters. Eyewitnesses said that one of the giant craft's 4 engines exploded as the plane was touching down. It careened into a swamp bordering the airstrip and the gas tanks started to explode. Of the 46 passengers on board, 9 persons survived with minor injuries, including 4 passengers and 5 crew members. The dead were badly mutilated. No immediate identifications were possible, as the weather was already rainy and overcast when the plane started to set down for landing. Now, with the thick black smoke, there was no way to do identifications on the spot. The dead included Thomas C. Capehart, son of Senator Homer E. Capehart of Rhode Island, and his wife Elizabeth. They boarded the plane at Miami with 2 others when the Constellation made that unscheduled stop because the number 3 engine was acting up. Of the survivors, 3 were Jamaicans, 1 a Caymanian, and others were passengers booked on vacation or business pursuits in Jamaica and South America. Among the survivors were the plane's captain, Mr. J. Duke, who with his co-pilot escaped through the emergency exit provided for operational crew. 3 other crew members also managed to escape the inferno. The fortunate passengers who survived are Mr. and Mistress Ian W. Kelton of Australia, Mr. R. A. Loven, and Mr. H. Whites, both of The Hague in the Netherlands. None of the survivors were seriously injured. 4 other passengers, one of them, Mr. Richard Osler, general manager of the Caribbean Cement Company at the time, had left the plane at Miami, refusing to continue the journey on the ill-fated aircraft. And I guess this was the reason why the plane was able to accommodate those 4 persons, the K-parts, and the other 2 persons who boarded at Miami. The probable cause for this accident, as stated by the NTSB, is the adoption of a final approach path resulting in a heavy landing, during which a major structural failure occurred in the port wing in the immediate vicinity of Station 80 joint, caused by the transmission of stresses through the undercarriages in excess of those which would be encountered if the rate of sink of the aircraft at the time of impact had been controlled within the designed maximum of 10 feet per second. The primary responsibility for the safety of an aircraft and its complement is vested in the captain. However, there is evidence of mitigating circumstances in that the errors of judgment that precipitated the disaster reflect some deficiency of knowledge, which should have been instilled in the training and flight proficiency checking of the pilots of HK 177. A measure of responsibility for the accident must therefore devolve on the supervisory and advisory authorities for the overall conduct of the operation. If you found this video interesting, then maybe you will enjoy this one on the right. Thank you for watching.